Naked and Afraid, Last One Standing, Episode 9 or 10, depending on how you want to count it, review. Yes, good people, I am back from vacation, and I just finished watching the latest episode of Naked and Afraid, Last One Standing. And to avoid any confusion, the title for the latest episode is called Legendary Showdown, and it follows the events of Episode 8. And just for clarification, I had to bite the bullet and pay to watch this on Amazon Video, and on there, the episode is titled Episode 9. And after watching Episode 9, I have to say that Jeff is clearly the MVP for the show, and there is no close second. Jeff, aka Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, continues to prove why he is made for the show, and why he is enjoying this more than the other survivalists. Now, over the course of this review, I'll explain why I feel that Jeff is clearly the MVP, I'll share my thoughts on the other survivalists, and I'll address this elimination challenge. So without any further delay, let's jump right in. The episode opens up with the survivalists competing for 3 items. First, a survival asset, second, a fishing asset, and third, a meat cache, which happens to be an Egyptian goose. Now during this point of the episode, it's still Team Jeff haters versus Jeff. And because of that, Dan, Waz, Gary, and Steven follow Jeff to the meat cache to see who will get it first, which left Matt to search for the fishing asset and nobody to look for the other survival item. Ever since the last episode aired, I constantly wondered when Jeff would live up to his threats to sabotage the other survivalists. Well, Jeff definitely lived up to the threats for this episode, because he misplaced several feathers that led to the meat cache, and while the other survivalists were burning energy in search of one Egyptian goose, Jeff left them to look for the other survival items. And it doesn't end there. After Matt abandons his search to look for the fishing asset, Jeff makes Team Jeff haters believe that he found the fishing asset and the survival item, which causes them to stop looking for it. And I know some people may not be fond of Jeff's actions, but the other survivalists have done the same to Jeff over the last several episodes, so it was only fitting for Jeff to cash in on those receipts. And there's more. Midway through this episode, we learn that Jeff had made jerky out of the impala that he received in the beginning of the season, which is extremely smart. So while the other survivalists had gone at least 10 days without eating any protein, Jeff had been snacking away, which more than likely gave him the boost to work as hard as he's been working. So whether you love or hate Jeff, you can't deny that Jeff has proven time and time again as to why he's the best thing that's ever happened for the show. Now with all that being said, I have to address the other cast members. Out of the remaining survivalists, I have to give props to Gary and Steven. During this episode, Gary found over 60 bird eggs that he ate all by himself, and the caption for the episode showed that all those bird eggs were the equivalent to a protein found in 2 porterhouse steaks. So I have to respect Gary for being the ultimate survivalist. If for some reason Jeff does not win the competition, then I will gladly give it to Gary, simply because he has the ability to adapt to situations and make alliances when needed. But I also want to commend Steven for his showing during the episode. Steven was able to weather the storm and find the Egyptian goose all by himself in the beginning of the episode. And towards the middle part of the episode, Steven shared some food with Jeff, and while they were alone, he was the first cast member to apologize to Jeff for how he treated Jeff during the competition. Now for me, watching Steven and Jeff reconcile their differences is what the show should really be about. There's absolutely nothing wrong with healthy competition or friendly rivalries. But unfortunately, this competition has brought out the worst in some of the cast members, and part of the reason for that, in my opinion, was because the show allowed cast members to play fast and loose with the rules. But as I said before, I have a strong feeling that if there's a season 2, then the show will make some necessary changes to prevent all the negativity that we saw during the season. Now when it comes to Waz, I'm really not impressed with his showing for the season. He comes off as nothing more than a henchman or as Matt's bodyguard. Aside from finding a few survival items, he really hasn't contributed much else to the show outside of feeling that he has a say in whether or not people can share their items with Jeff. And in the back of my mind, I'm asking myself, Waz, who the hell are you to tell everybody else what they can do with their items? Matt also really hasn't impressed me as well. He comes off as the best hunter that ever lived, yet he hasn't been successful at hunting anything of substance during the challenge. During this episode, he spent a great deal of time trying to hunt an animal, but he was not lucky. Matt was also annoyed with the notion that Jeff was happy with finding a survival item. However, Matt had no problem celebrating and insulting Jeff for building a weak raft in episode 8. And lastly, there's Dan. And in my opinion, Dan continues to prove that he will sneak his way into the finale, and he is the luckiest cast member on the show. In my opinion, Dan will be perfect for a show like Survivor because of his ability to form alliances and manipulate others while projecting himself as innocent. But without those alliances, Dan would have been long gone from this show within the first 21 days. But now there's the Elimination Challenge. In this episode, the cast members had to cut bamboo, tie their chutes together, and transport water to their gourd before sealing the gourd. And this Elimination Challenge may be a little controversial to some fans because Gary and Jeff went around the rules to accomplish the task at hand. But I have a different opinion on the matter. The rules of the Elimination Challenge only said that the remaining survivalists had to locate the gourd, use the bamboo to fill it, and seal it. There was absolutely nothing in the rules that said that the cast members couldn't take the gourd with them after locating it, and because of that, Gary and Jeff used the rules to their advantage. And as a result, Matt was eliminated moments after Jeff came out of nowhere to take the last spot and save himself from elimination. And I can't really say that I feel sorry for Matt. Matt led the charge to turn everyone against Jeff, and Matt got his karma for the episode. I do think that the dynamics for the cast members will change going forward. I think that there is a slim possibility that Steven may match with Gary and Jeff to form their own alliance, while Dan and Waz try to go at it on their own. I also think that Dan and Waz may be the next to go home. But according to the narrator, there are only 2 more elimination challenges left, so there's a possibility that the finale may have 3 cast members facing off against each other. Who will those 3 be? We shall see. But as the review comes to an end, I want to thank everybody that tuned into my last video titled Where is Episode 9? And I also want to thank everybody that recently subscribed to my channel. I'm inching towards 2,000 subscribers, and my goal is to reach that number before the end of July. So if you like my content and you want to support my platform, then feel free to subscribe because it helps me out a lot. And I also love all the comments that were left in the comment section. So if you have any comments about the latest episode of Naked and Afraid Last One Standing, then feel free to leave them below and I'll respond to everybody. Until next time, stay safe, stay strong, and stay tuned. Peace.